Now, Energy Secretary Rick Perry says that we should expand fossil fuels because they can prevent rape. I'm not kidding. This is something that he actually said. Amazing. Now, during an event with Axios and NBC in Washington, D.C., Rick Perry had brought up sexual assault after launching into a story about a trip to Africa, where he said that, quote, people are dying because they don't have access to energy. He said, and it's going to take fossil fuels to push power out to those villages in Africa, where a young girl said to my face, one of the reasons that electricity is so important to me is not only because I'm not going to have to try and read by the light of a fire and have those fumes literally kill people, but also from the standpoint of sexual assault. When the lights are on, when you have light that shines, the righteousness, if you will, on those types of acts. What? That is utterly confusing, and I'm pretty sure that never actually happened. That said, does he make a good point about how access to energy actually helps people? Absolutely, of course. And look, there's a recent report out about pollution that showed that, look, wood stoves are actually one of the biggest killers in developing countries. All the, the fumes and the from burning wood, from these wood stoves. That's a cause of a lot of things like asthma and death. So, yeah, do we want to bring electricity to other countries? Absolutely. Now, rape and sexual assault, however, he's way, way off on that. It's not as if that happens only in back alleys or places where it's dark. No, it happens in any place where men or, women in some circumstances, but mostly men, having to hold a disproportionate level of power. I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein, for example, and all the revelations that are coming out since Harvey Weinstein. He didn't do what he wanted to do or what he did in a room just because it was dark. Okay, he didn't do this in rooms lit by wood stoves and candles. Same thing with Bill O'Reilly, Roger Ailes, etc. They did what they did in full light. Maybe it's got more to do with power than electricity. Just saying. At the same time, again, he's right about people in these remote regions where there's no grid. They would actually benefit from fossil fuels. However, I do have to mention that the environment would not benefit from fossil fuels. So, how about instead of pushing for more coal and more oil and natural gas, why don't we do what they're trying in Puerto Rico right now? Now, as you may or may not know, a story came out recently where Tesla has stepped in to restore power to the island. And they're doing so with all renewable solar energy. Now, they've already created so far a grid to power a children's hospital and are now actually looking for a deal to rebuild Puerto Rico's entire energy infrastructure to run on solar energy. Now, look, most of Puerto Rico's energy infrastructure was destroyed in Hurricane Maria. So, I mean, these are power poles and plants and transformers. All that stuff has got to be rebuilt. The total cost is about $5 billion to rebuild their energy infrastructure. Just their energy infrastructure. Now, that'd be pretty hard for, I mean, that's already difficult, right? But their energy authority in Puerto Rico, they're already $9 billion in debt. So they're going to have a really, really hard time just being able to afford to rebuild their energy infrastructure. So here comes Elon Musk saying, hey, don't worry about it. What we're going to do is that we're going to try and do renewable energy here. And that's amazing. It's a huge deal because, again, that kind of undertaking is enormous. If they can get it done in Puerto Rico, imagine what they could do for developing countries in, for example, South Central Africa. It's really kind of a test to see what Elon Musk and Tesla Energy can actually do. I mean, look, the cost of solar is already down to at incredibly cheap levels, and now it's actually one of the biggest job creators in America. And it is the future. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they can, for one, restore the energy grid and actually make a 21st century grid in Puerto Rico. And then to see if they could expand those projects into other places, into developing countries like Africa. Now, it might not be able to do anything about sexual assault, which of course requires that women not only be taught to defend themselves, but also men to take responsibility for their own actions and the actions of other men. But solar will actually solve other problems like climate change and lack of affordable energy in low-income countries. And of course, that pollution problem from burning wood. But see, Rick Perry is not exactly smart. I think he thinks the glasses make him look smart, but trust me, he is not a smart person. And this guy is running our energy grid. He is running the Department of Energy. Just consider that. Just think about that for a while. Saying these kinds of stupid and ridiculous things. It doesn't have anything to do with rape or sexual assault, but it does have a lot to do with the people who funded Rick Perry. So keep that in mind. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.